That was completely fabricated. We all know the first interview was for 10 years in Meghan's life, from the age of 5 to 18, more than 10 years.
Been floating around. Royal fans are convinced Meghan Markle is lying about her age. In fact, they think she's older. And not a surprise here because, yeah, she lies a lot about...
Oh, you guys, this week the internet has been absolutely losing its mind. Royal biographer Tom Bower just dropped something so wild about Meghan Markle, people can't stop talking about it. And no, this isn't another PR stunt or some awkward fake smile moment during a photo op. This time, the bombshell hits much deeper. It's about her real age. Yes, you heard that right, her real age. The story that's now circling across social media has everyone gasping, debating, and double-checking old magazines. Because what Bower found might just flip the entire timeline of Meghan's life upside down. So picture this, it's 1,997. Teen magazines rule every coffee table. 17 magazine is the ultimate dream guide for young girls chasing fame and fashion. And right there, tucked inside one of those glossy pages, is a small list featuring upcoming fresh faces. And guess whose name pops up? Meghan Markle, age 21. At first, it sounds totally harmless, right? Just another young hopeful listed in a magazine. But wait, when you match that number with her publicly known birth year, 1981, the math just doesn't add up. If Meghan was born in 1981, she would have been 15 inches, 1,997, not 21. So how does someone magically age 6 years overnight?
For her family, everybody is exposing the lies that she's been telling. And it would only make sense that she might lie about this. It wouldn't be such a big...
This little inconsistency opened a Pandora's box. Fans and skeptics alike started asking, hold on, if the math doesn't match, what else might not? The moment Bower's claim hit the web, digital detectives went into overdrive. Old yearbooks, archived interviews, forgotten photos, people began cross-referencing everything Meghan had ever said about her early life. And guess what? Some of her early interviews suddenly looked odd. Meghan would talk about her journey and growth without ever mentioning her exact age. It's like she'd been strategically dodging that detail all along, as if she was already crafting a carefully edited version of herself before the fame even hit. For fans who thought they knew her story by heart, this revelation was unsettling. The Meghan we thought we knew, the young, wide-eyed actress on her way to stardom, suddenly seems like a character written with selective truths. And here's where things get really shady. 17 magazine, they never corrected that age 21 line. No apology, no clarification, nothing. And Meghan's team? Silent. Not a single denial or PR statement to explain it away. It's like everyone involved just decided to pretend it never happened. But thanks to Tom Bower's research, that forgotten magazine spread has resurfaced and it's gone viral all over again. Screenshots, clips, TikToks, the whole internet is reliving that one small line that could completely rewrite Meghan Markle's public image. What makes it even juicier is how specific that age 21 listing is.
She then admits that it was untrue, but her lawyer says Meghan didn't lie. Well, extraordinary how the whole thing is unraveling.
And yet they...
It wasn't vague or assumed it was printed, published, and deliberate. That's not a typo. That's not a random guess. So now everyone's asking, was this an innocent editorial mix-up or the first glimpse of Meghan Markle rewriting her own timeline years before the world even knew her name? That's the million-dollar question Tom Bower decided to chase, and what he found is enough to make even Meghan's most loyal defenders go, wait, what? Now hold onto your tea, because here's where it really starts to twist. Tom Bower wasn't the only one raising eyebrows. Her own father, Thomas Markle, has been hinting for years that certain parts of Meghan's official story just don't match reality. While the world swoons over the polished, elegant Duchess of Sussex, Thomas remembers someone completely different, the ambitious, headstrong kid who grew up running lines with him on set, rehearsing scripts long before she'd even finished school. In old interviews, Thomas Markle has shared all kinds of memories about Meghan's early school days, her first side jobs, and even her baby steps into acting. But when you stack those memories next to Meghan's official timeline, things start to look off. Graduation dates, the age she supposedly started acting, the timing of her first big break, the details blur. It's almost like two completely different people are describing the same life.
So let's actually get to the truth of this issue, and it's a surprise. Here we go. So if you go over on Google, is she lying about her age?
And Thomas isn't out here throwing shade or trying to smear his daughter. He actually sounds confused, even hurt. In one interview, he admitted, "I remember her starting out much earlier than people say she did." That one honest sentence set the internet ablaze. Suddenly, fans were whispering, wait, if even her dad remembers her being older, what's the real story? It's honestly chilling because a father doesn't usually forget key milestones in his daughter's life. And if his recollections are right, it suggests something much bigger, that Meghan has been editing her own story for a very long time. Maybe not out of malice, maybe out of strategy. But when your own father's memories can't line up with your official timeline, something's off. Something's being controlled. When Tom Bower caught wind of that 17 magazine listing and Thomas Markle's comments, he didn't just brush it off. Remember, this is Tom Bower, the man who's spent decades dissecting the secrets of the royal family. He knows when something smells off, so he started digging hard, pulling together every scrap of evidence that could explain that 6-year age gap. He asked the question that shook royal circles. So, is Meghan 42 or closer to 47? In a Newsweek feature that echoed Bower's question, even journalists began revisiting the evidence.
The claims that they have made against the royal family, for example, William being a bully, for example, this idea.
Every timeline suddenly looked suspect, from her supposed college graduation to her first Hollywood auditions. The deeper Bower looked, the clearer it became. Meghan's entire early career story might have been carefully refitted to support a particular image. Her young starlet finding her big break tale. Maybe not as spontaneous as it sounded. And then came the Hollywood factor, because this isn't just about numbers. This is about power, opportunity, and image. In Tinseltown, age isn't just a number, it's currency. If you're 25, you're fresh talent. If you're 31, you're too experienced for the same role. Bower pointed out something jaw-dropping. If Meghan truly was 6 years older than her official record suggests, her so-called early career rise was actually her second act of reinvention, polished for cameras and casting directors. The fairy tale suddenly looked more like a well-rehearsed script. What makes it even more compelling is how the narrative aligns perfectly with Hollywood's obsession with youth.
42 today. But is this true? There is a rumor she's actually older, so let's examine what's out there. This is a copy.
Every actor knows that sometimes to survive, you shave off a few years. But Meghan's case? It wasn't about vanity, it was about strategy. By appearing younger, she positioned herself in a better bracket one where she could still play the ingenue, still be marketed as a rising talent, and later, the perfect modern princess. It wasn't deception, it was survival in an industry that punishes women for simply aging. As Bower put it, once you start laying out the timelines, you realize there are two completely different Meghan Markles. Version 1, the official royal biography, born August 4th, 1981, Los Angeles. That makes her 44 inches, 2025. It's the age we all know, repeated endlessly in interviews, documentaries, and news headlines. Version 2, the 1997 magazine, listing age 21. That implies a birth year of 1975 or 1976. That would make her around 49 or 50 today. That's not a rounding error. That's a 6-year gap. And in the celebrity world, 6 years can change everything, how you're perceived, the roles you're offered, even the kind of man the public thinks is your perfect match. Now imagine how differently the royal love story looks through that lens. If Meghan really were older than claimed, she didn't enter the royal family as a youthful, wide-eyed actress swept off her feet by a prince. She entered as a seasoned professional, already experienced in shaping narratives, managing image, and playing the long game. It reframes the entire dynamic from the first interviews to the carefully choreographed wedding, and it explains a lot about how she handled media storms, royal rules, and global scrutiny with unnerving poise. She wasn't naive, she was ready. The deeper you dig, the clearer it gets. This isn't just about an age, it's about control. Control of image, control of narrative, control of perception. And nobody does control like Meghan Markle. Tom Bower didn't accuse her of lying outright, he's too precise for that.
In it, it mentions our Megzy is from Los Angeles and that she was 21 years old at the time of publication. That would make her birth.
Instead, he presented the evidence, dates, quotes, records, and let the inconsistencies speak for themselves, but those inconsistencies, they screamed louder than any accusation could. They painted a picture of a woman who might have carefully managed every public detail of her life, not out of deceit, but out of necessity. Because once you're in the public eye, every year, every milestone becomes a weapon something. Tabloids twist. Something casting directors judge. So maybe Meghan wasn't hiding. Maybe she was protecting herself from a system built to tear women down the moment they stopped looking new. But still, the questions kept coming. Why no correction from 17 magazine? Why no denial from Meghan's PR team? Why didn't the palace step in to clarify something so simple? The silence became deafening. And then enter Thomas Markle again. This is where the story turns heartbreakingly human. He wasn't ranting or attacking, he was remembering. A father piecing together fragments of a life that no longer aligned with what the world was telling him. In one quiet conversation, he reportedly told a friend, "The dates don't match. It's not what I remember." That single sentence, so raw, so human, hit harder than any tabloid headline. Because when your own father can't recognize the version of you the world believes in, that's when things stop feeling like gossip and start feeling like tragedy. From her school years to her first auditions, Thomas remembered things differently. To him, Meghan's journey wasn't a fairy tale. It was a grind, filled with rehearsals, rejection, long nights on set. The kind of life story that doesn't need polishing because it's real. But the version that emerged in public? It was sleek, controlled, perfectly timed for cameras and magazine covers. It was the kind of story Hollywood and royalty could sell. And yet, when you put those two timelines side by side, you see something deeper, not just a possible age tweak, but a lifetime of rebranding. Facts bend, chronology stretches, inconvenient truths are quietly edited out. One missing year becomes two. One changed detail becomes three. Until, eventually, a whole narrative reshapes itself into something more marketable. And that's what Tom Bower exposed, not just a number, but a pattern. A pattern of subtle revision that follows Meghan through interviews, public records, even royal documentation. He found old royal aides who privately admitted that some details in her official timeline didn't fully add up. Even her sister Samantha Markle in legal documents confirmed the birth year as 1981, but skeptics still weren't satisfied. Because if the public documents say 1981 and the magazines say 1976, who do you believe? And why hasn't anyone just cleared it up? That silence is what drives everyone crazy. When Hollywood makes a mistake, it rushes to fix it. When royals face rumor, they release statements. But here, nothing. Not one correction. Not one clarification. It's as if they want the question to stay alive, floating just enough to keep people guessing, talking, watching. Because when you think about it, a little mystery keeps the spotlight burning longer. Years later, even as headlines shifted to new dramas, the Meghan's real age question refused to die. Every time a new article surfaced, that 1997 17 magazine clipping reappeared like a ghost from the past. People couldn't let it go, not because they cared about numbers, but because it symbolized something bigger. How far can someone go to rewrite their own story and still call it truth? In Hollywood, youth sells. In the monarchy, image rules. And Meghan, she mastered both worlds by mastering her story. Whether she's 44 or 50 doesn't really change who she is. But it does raise an uncomfortable truth that authenticity and fame isn't always pure. Sometimes it's edited, scripted, and staged with the precision of a royal portrait. Tom Bower's investigation didn't just expose a discrepancy, it cracked open a mirror, forcing everyone to question what's real and what's performance. And as the debate rages online, with fans defending, critics dissecting, and Meghan staying silent, one thing becomes clear. In the world of Meghan Markle, truth is negotiable, but control is absolute. In the end, no matter how many timelines are compared, how many documents are analyzed, or how many interviews are replayed, that little magazine line from 1997 remains simple, unedited, and impossible to erase. It's the one thread Meghan can't fully control. Because for all her power, all her PR, all her poise, the numbers still whisper a story of their own. A story of a woman who may have rewritten the rules and perhaps even her age to become the legend she is today. And that, more than anything, is why the world can't look away.